The sun hung gently above the small suburban neighborhood, casting its golden warmth on a worn-out man named Aaron Blake, who stood outside a modest white, painted house, clutching his daughter's backpack. The sound of laughter from nearby children filled the air, but Aaron's eyes were tired. The kind of exhaustion that came from years of struggling, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying the weight of responsibility alone. Once a bright architect, now a part-time handyman and single father, Aaron's life revolved around his 8-year-old daughter, Rosie, whose smile was his only light in an otherwise shadowed world. He hadn't planned to be here, not in this small, half-forgotten town, not scraping together pennies to fix other people's homes while ignoring the cracks in his own. But life, as Aaron often told Rosie, had its strange ways of leading you where your heart was tested the most. One Friday morning, as he fixed the creaky railing outside Hillside Academy, the private school that offered Rosie a scholarship, a shiny black car pulled up beside him. From it stepped Chloe Harrington, the daughter of the city's wealthiest developer, dressed in a cream-colored coat, her sunglasses perched on her head like a crown she didn't need to prove she owned. She wasn't arrogant like the others. There was curiosity in her eyes as she watched Aaron hammer the last nail into place. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us of humanity's beauty, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps us spread stories that heal hearts. Aaron barely noticed Chloe at first. He had more pressing matters, like making sure Rosie's lunchbox didn't fall apart again or that his paycheck covered this week's groceries. But fate, in its quiet mischief, had other plans. The next week, Chloe saw him again, this time fixing the school's fountain. The sun caught in his dark hair, and for a brief moment, she saw something rare in his calm expression: dignity without wealth, strength without arrogance. That evening, as Chloe sat at her family's massive dining table, surrounded by chatter about business deals and upcoming charity galas, she thought of him, the man who worked silently while others rushed by. She didn't know his story, but something in his stillness haunted her. A week later, the school announced its annual spring charity gala, where parents and donors gathered for one glittering evening of music, champagne, and empty laughter. Chloe was expected to attend. Her father was the event's primary sponsor. But this year, she didn't want to walk in with another shallow date picked for her image. She wanted something real. And somehow the image of the quiet handyman with kind eyes came to mind. On a warm Saturday morning, Aaron was mending the wooden benches near the academy's garden when Chloe approached him. The faint scent of jasmine followed her, and her heels clicked softly against the cobblestone. "Mr. Blake?" she asked gently. He turned, brushing sawdust from his hands, looking startled. "I hope I'm not interrupting your work," she continued, her tone unusually nervous for someone of her stature. Aaron smiled politely. "No interruption, ma'am. Just finishing up." She hesitated, biting her lip slightly before blurting out words that would change everything. "Will you be my date to the spring charity gala?" Aaron froze, thinking she was joking. The richest girl in town, asking him, a struggling single dad, to accompany her to a place filled with people who'd probably sneer the second they saw him. He almost laughed at the absurdity, but her eyes, sincere, trembling slightly, stopped him. I think you've mistaken me for someone else," he replied cautiously. "No mistake," she said softly. "I want someone genuine there, and you seem like someone who doesn't wear masks." He didn't know how to answer. His heart thudded painfully. It wasn't pride that made him hesitate. It was fear. Fear of being mocked, of embarrassing Rosie, of stepping into a world where he didn't belong. But Chloe didn't pressure him. She simply smiled, left her invitation card on the bench beside him, and walked away. For the next few days, the card sat untouched on his kitchen counter. Rosie noticed it one evening while doing her homework. "Daddy, are you going to the party?" she asked, her eyes full of excitement. "You should go! Maybe you'll make new friends!" He chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Sweetheart, that's not really my kind of place. Mom used to say the same thing about school events," Rosie murmured softly. "But she always went. She said showing up sometimes changes everything." Those words, "showing up changes everything," echoed in his mind long after she fell asleep. The next morning, he made his decision. He didn't own a tuxedo, but he cleaned his only black suit, polished his shoes, and borrowed a tie from his neighbor. For the first time in years, he stood before the mirror and saw not a tired man, but someone rediscovering a piece of himself. The night of the gala arrived, glittering with fairy lights strung across the vast garden of the Harrington estate. Laughter and music floated through the air as limousines lined the entrance. Aaron felt painfully out of place walking through the gate, his heart pounding, but when he spotted Chloe near the fountain, everything else blurred. She was radiant, not in the way rich people shine, but in the way someone looks when they've found the courage to defy expectations. When their eyes met, her smile erased his nervousness. "You came," she said, almost whispering. "I figured maybe showing up could change something," he replied. Throughout the evening, they drew stares, curious, judgmental, even cruel. Whispers slithered through the crowd. As he heard driver, someone sneered, "A pity project." Another mocked. But Chloe ignored them, walking proudly beside Aaron as if he were the most important man in the room. And for the first time, Aaron didn't lower his gaze. As the night deepened, they talked by the garden fountain, about loss, hope, and second chances. Chloe admitted she'd grown tired of her father's world of pretense. Aaron confessed how lonely it was to fight for dignity in silence. For a brief, beautiful moment, two completely different worlds met under the soft glow of lanterns, and neither wanted to leave. But then came the storm. Chloe's father, Victor Harrington, appeared, a tall, imposing man whose wealth was matched only by his pride. His sharp voice cut through the music as he confronted his daughter. "What is this nonsense? Chloe, do you have any idea what people are saying? Bringing a handyman to our charity gala." The laughter around them died. All eyes turned. Aaron wanted to disappear, but Chloe stepped closer to him, her chin lifted. "Yes, father, he's my guest. And I'm proud of that." Victor's face hardened. "You're embarrassing yourself. Come with me, now?" But Chloe didn't move. "No," she said, voice trembling but firm. "For once in my life, I'm standing by something real." The silence was unbearable. Aaron, realizing how much this defiance could cost her, gently placed his hand on her arm. "Chloe, it's okay," he murmured. "You don't have to fight this for me." She turned to him, eyes glistening. "But I want to." Victor glared, then walked away in fury, the crowd parting before him. The moment he left, whispers erupted again, but Chloe didn't care. She looked at Aaron, the man who stood silently with quiet strength, and she smiled, tears shining like diamonds. The next morning, news of the Harrington scandal flooded social media. Chloe's decision had humiliated her father's reputation among the elite. She was cut off financially within days. But strangely, she felt free. Aaron, guilt-ridden, went to her doorstep to apologize, only to find her sitting on the porch, sipping coffee from a chipped mug. She looked at peace. "I guess I'm unemployed," she said with a faint laugh. He smiled sadly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "You didn't do anything wrong," she interrupted gently. "You reminded me what being human feels like." Months passed. Chloe began volunteering at a local shelter, using her design degree to renovate the old building. Aaron helped her on weekends. What started as a simple partnership grew into quiet companionship, two souls healing through kindness and shared purpose. Rosie adored her, often asking, "Is Miss Chloe your girlfriend, Daddy?" which made both of them blush. Then one summer afternoon, as they painted the shelter's walls together, Chloe paused, holding her brush mid-air. "You know, Aaron," she said softly, "I used to think happiness came from having everything. But now I think it's about having someone who sees you even when the world doesn't." Aaron met her gaze, his heart full. "Then I guess we both found it," he said quietly. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Aaron watched Rosie and Chloe laughing together under the golden light. And for the first time in years, he felt like life had come full circle, not through money or success, but through courage, compassion, and the simple act of showing up when it mattered. If this story touched your heart, please don't leave without showing your support. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every small gesture helps us tell more stories that remind the world what kindness truly means. And before you go, comment below, would you choose love and truth over appearances, even if the world judged you for it? Because sometimes one brave yes can change two lives forever.